Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Lam D'Chima Amud Aleph, second line. Today's daf is sponsored by Dr. Ezra Dayan in honor of the Magid Shi'ur, myself. Very weird to say. Okay, second line. We said that in monetary cases the verdict can be reversed if it was found out to be faulty. Now the Gemara says, if someone judged a case, monetary case, Zikad Hayav, and he said the Patur guy is Chayav, or Hayav at the Zakaya, or he said the Chayav guy is Patur. I think I reversed that. Timeh to tahor, or if he said something was tameh that was supposed to be tahor, or tihir tameh, or he said something that was tameh, he said it as tahor. Masha asas whatever is done, and he has to repay back. So we see that it's not reversible. The Gemara says, in our Mishnah, with an expert judge, experts can reverse it. In the other Masechet, it's about a judge who's not an expert, and he has to just pay it out. The Gemara says, in the case of an expert, can we just easily reverse it? If the guy, this Mishnah says that if it's an expert judge, then he's patur from paying back, so it's not reversible. The Gemara says, in the case where there's a judge better, greater in knowledge and more number of judges, then you can reverse the lower judge's verdict. In a case where you cannot reverse, it's talking about a case where there's no one who's a higher rabbi / judge to reverse the verdict. Rav Sheshet is a different answer. Our Mishnah is talking about a case where the judge made a mistake in regarding to a clear, obvious halacha, like in Mishnah. That's reversible. In the other Mishnah is talking about a case where they made a mistake in something that's a matter of opinion, that it's discretion of the judge. The Gemara says, even if they made a mistake in an obvious halacha like Rabbi Chia and Roshia, yes, you can still reverse it. Even in halachot of Rav and Shmuel, right, each of them have their own aspects. Yes, you can reverse it. Even if the halacha discussed between me and you, he said, are we just random cutters in the swamp? Yeah, we chopped liver that we should be our halachot should be ignored? He said, obviously it can be reversed. We said that matter of opinion. What's that considered? What type of halachot are considered matters of opinion? He says either it's a case where there's two Amoraim or Tanaim arguing on something, and the halacha was never established like either one specifically. When the judge says, you know what, the halacha is like this, but in the sugya, when the matter was being discussed, you could tell that it was led being toward to the other rabbi. So that's just a matter of opinion, because yes, it didn't say it outright, but we were leaning towards Rabbi A, and then the judge decided it like Rabbi B. Okay, there's a story where the cow of a certain person, the womb was removed, and Rabbi Tefon fed the cow to dogs because he considered it as a terefa. So, they came to Chachamim and Yavne. They said, no, it's mutar for you to eat it. You don't have to feed it to dogs. Because the doctor said, a cow, nor the type of pig, I believe, leaves Mitzrayim. They first remove the womb, I guess like a hysterectomy, they remove the uterus, in order that it should not have children. So we see that animals, they used to do surgeries on these animals to remove the wombs, and the animals would live. Sponsored by a doctor, and we're talking about doctors. Fantastic. Charge them double. Amar Rabbi Tefon, speaks of mirrors. Amar Rabbi Tefon said, Rabbi Tarfon, who said that they had to feed it to the dogs, because he held it was pasul, it was considered nevela. When he heard that technically it's not considered nevela because they used to cut out the wombs of animals all the time, and it was not considered nevela, he said about himself, there goes your donkey. Yani, he's considering that he's losing his money. No, he says, no, you're patur, because any expert judges are patur from paying back in mistaken judgment cases. Like where it says, if you're telling me that the two Mishnahs, like we said earlier, you should have told Rabbi Tefon, no, you should be chayav, because you made a mistake in something that's in the Mishnah, and if you make a mistake in the Mishnah, you're chayav. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Akiva was saying no. You're saying two different things. You say one and additional. He said, first of all, you're a judge who made a mistake in a Mishnah. And in the case of that, in that type of scenario, you can reverse the verdict. And additionally, you may have even made a mistake in an opinion matter. And still, albeit that's the case, you are still considered an expert. And still, and therefore, any experts are patur from paying. What case was Rabbi Huna challenging Rosh Hashanah? We put out from the case of the cow. How can you reverse that? The dog, the cow is already long gone and we're gonna eaten up by dogs. The Gemara says, he said, no. He said, if you would have, he said what Rabbi Huna told Rabbi Tarfon was, if you just made a mistake regarding the Mishnah and you can't reverse it, Alma kam dina. We see that the verdict stands even though he made a mistake. That's why Rabbi Tarfon was scared that he was losing his money. Then Rabbi Akiva told him, don't worry about it, you're considered an expert. But if you're telling me that the case where it's considered a Mishnah halacha that you can reverse, Rabbi Akiva should have told him, if the cow were still alive, your verdict wouldn't mean anything. So too now that the cow's dead, you technically also didn't do anything wrong. Okay, if here's the Rav Hisa says, different answer completely between the two Mishnayot. The case of the Bechorot, where he cannot be reversed, is where he took the money from A and gave it to B. In our Mishnah, the case is reversible because he didn't physically hand over the money. So that makes sense according to the case in the Mishnah that talks about a case where he said the patur guy is chayav. That's the case where he handed over the money already. But if he said that the guy is chayav, he said him patur, what would be the case of handing it over? If he just said you're patur instead of chayav, that's not handing anything over. On the contrary, he's saying you don't have to hand anything over. So what would be that type of scenario? Gemara says, Kevan the Amar Patur, he says that since the judge said you're Patur, that's as if he took money from one to the next. He's stopping him from paying. That's like as if he physically handed it over. And that's why it's not reversible. The Gemara says, according to, that's a problem, because a Mishnah that says that monetary cases can be reversible whether or not you made the guy Chayav or Patur. It makes sense according to the case where you said that you made him patur. That makes sense. Because initially the judge said you're chayav. We don't tell him they didn't hand it over. But in the case where he said you're chayav, what's the scenario? He said you're just patur. And then but if that's the case, then if he said to the guy you're patur, we said that's comparable and equal to taking it out of the guy's hand. So how can you reverse it in that case? Like we're bringing a bomb question. The Gemara says, is teaching you one halacha. Verdicts with money can be reversed in a case where you said the guy is patur, even though he's making the other guy hayav. The Gaban actually see a parallel in the case of capital cases. You can reverse the guy, you told the guy he's chayav mitah, you can reverse him to patur. If you told the guy he's patur, you cannot bring him back to kill him. Mahzrin zechut, capital cases, zechut greta. When the new verdict is just a pure patur for the guy. So, which means, that doesn't mean you can't say that it's a case where, well, I'll explain in a second. So that's one of the cases where it's only an acquittal, where it does not make anybody else chayav, but you can't make him chayav in a case where it's only chayav, in a case where the acquittal will make someone else chayav, which means it'll hurt someone else. Who would be, if I'm saying Reuven killed Shimon, and I'm saying now he's patur, we're saying if it causes, it's considered negative towards someone else, you can't do that. So the Gemara says, what type of scenario would you be that if you're trying to kill Reuven for killing Shimon, and then you say Reuven's patur, what would be the negative aspect in that? The Gemara says, halakasha, you'll be causing distress to the relative of Shimon, because if you make Reuven patur, that relative feels bad. The Gemara says, okay, so now you're telling me you can't do that because the relative of Shimon will feel bad. So therefore what? We should kill Reuven for no reason, technically? The Gemara says, V'od, additionally, my ben. That doesn't make sense the wording doesn't make sense in our Mishnah, because we said it's talking about a case, the money case is reversible for the patur in chayuv. Now the Gemara says it doesn't make sense because the Mishnah specifically said both, whether it's chayuv or patur, ben, whether or not. So that doesn't make sense. You just change the whole wording of the Mishnah. The Gemara says kasha. It's a good question. Ravina says no. New explanation for Rav Hizda. He says the Mishnah is talking about a case where the guy had a collateral in his hand for the loan. The judge said, you know what, the guy's patur doesn't have to pay you back, and he took that collateral and handed it back. Timei tahor was the case of I said something. The judge said that something is tameh instead of tahor. He said it's tameh. And what it was really tahor. He said no, it's tameh, and he took it and he put a sheretz on it to show that it was tameh. He put something tumah on it. Tihered tameh, the case where he made something tahor instead of tameh, how would that be a problem? If I say that the item is tahor instead of tameh, then I want to reverse it. What's the issue? The Gemara says the judge took the fruit in question and he put it amongst the other people. So the guy with an apple, I say it's tahor, and I took it and I mixed it with other fruits. Then I realized that it's tameh, and now you have a mixture, which is a problem. Okay, dinei nefashot, capital cases can be reversed to make him patur but not chayav. Tano Banan, minayin lesed betin chayav. How do you know that if someone left betin chayav? And someone said, I can possibly get him. I have a reason to say he's patur. Minayin shemazinu that you bring him back to hear this argument. Tamud Amar nakila al taharav. Don't kill an innocent person. And how do you know if someone left the bedin verdict was patur? And someone says, you know what? I think he's actually chayav. Can we bring him back? How do you know they don't bring him back? Tamud Amar tzadik al taharav. Okay, in regarding to a person who convinces a missionary, someone who convinces other people to do avazara, is the reverse. Don't have pity on him, don't cover for him. Rav Kana says different pasuk says you shall kill him, which means if he left patur and you think he's chayav, bring him back. If he left chayav and you think he's patur, don't bring him back. What's halacha regarding to those who are chayav galut for killing by accident? Can you reverse it to make him patur from galut? We say no, from the word rotzeach, that you cannot reverse it. What about the guy who's chayav malkut? Can you reverse that? Can you say he's chayav now instead of patur? Same thing. You can't reverse it. But it says as well. Okay, you cannot reverse cases of conviction regarding capital cases. The only time you don't reverse it is when it's not a mistake that it's a mistake that the tziddukin, the people who are apikorsut, they have their own way of learning the Torah very literal. That's if they don't agree with it. If it's talking about a matter where these apikorsiut will say, you see, these judges agree with us. Look how he judged. He judged with our opinion. In that case, we do reverse it. Zil kare beravu. That's something that is very, very easy to reverse, and we don't want them to think that we are posek like them. Okay. What's the in the case of an adulterer or adulteress? You said you're patur. Can you reverse that or not? Literally, while your fire is burning, cut your gourds and roast them. It's another way of saying, like, check into the halacha. So obviously, since even the tziddukim say it's asur, you can reverse it. You can reverse that. So what type of capital cases you don't reverse? Where it says, in the case where you said you're patur for adultery, that was done unnaturally, through the unnatural way of having adultery or being with a woman, the unnatural way, since it's not explicit in Torah, we learn that is a case where you can't reverse it. Okay, in the case of monetary cases, everybody agrees you can reverse it. Hakol va'afilu edim. When Mishnah says everybody, it sounds like even the witnesses can re-testify against him. Which means if they say he's patur, if the witnesses testify the guy's chayav, then they say, you know what, we actually think he's patur, they can testify. Name of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Rabbanan. Our Mishnah goes like Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, and not. I mean, tiny brother says ve'ed echad lo ya'aneh b'nefesh. A single witness should not speak, which means ben l'zchut ben l'chavah. They can't start advancing their own opinions once testify. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says oneh l'zchut ben l'chavah. They can advance for. They could say that it's for patur, but not to make him chayav. So seemingly, hold like Rabbi Yosef. It's not talking about witnesses at all. No proof for anybody. It's talking about who's speaking up in our Mishnah. It's talking about the Talmidim, the students who are sitting in Betin watching the judges, the observers, if you want to call them. B'divrei hakol, everybody agrees that they can open their mouth if they want to make someone patur, but they should not open up to say that the guy is chayav. Amen.